Hello there. I said I wanted to share something about Jeremiah 29 last week in church, and Ron asked me to video it so that we could add it to the WhatsApp and the emails. But I kind of got a bit carried away and did a presentation on it instead. So here goes. Let me start sharing my screen. We're all used to this sort of stuff these days, aren't we? So, thoughts on Jeremiah 29 and the spiritual roller coaster. This all started from a sermon a couple of weeks ago that Ron gave about Jeremiah 29:11, and now that's going to be Wycliffe's motto for the year. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Now, the thing that jumped out to me when we did it in church is that Ron read all of Jeremiah 29 up to that point, and I'd not come across the stuff, I'd not noticed the stuff, you know how things jump out at you. I'd not noticed all the stuff that came before this verse, because this is so familiar, isn't it? We have it on fridge magnets and all over the place. But it was the bit before about exile and things, and I thought I'd really like to do that in life group. So as I go along here, you can see on the bottom, there's a mini me looking a bit puzzled, thinking, I need to look into this a bit more. And this is my little roller coaster, which we'll go through. So in life group on last Monday, we started off with that, for I know the plans I have for you, the bit that we're all familiar with in the middle. But we went first through verses 1 to 10. And it's talking about exile, it's talking about settle down, have kids, find peace and well-being in the place that you're stuck in. And when we get that promise of Jeremiah 29:11, we don't often get it in contrast to like a 70-year exile. It's a long-running thing. And I think it really speaks to us in these COVID times when we're looking at God's plans for us. You know, it's a long-running thing. This isn't like an instant fix of God. And then afterwards in life group, we went on to the rest of Jeremiah 29, which is really brutal. It's talking about God's wrath and famine and virulent diseases and all sorts of nasty stuff. And yet in the middle, sandwiched in between these two things, is God's perfect plans for us. I'd said at the life group how when I left my old job, my previous boss gave me a farewell card with a Jeremiah 29:11 in it. She also went on a couple of verses, but it just sort of stuck out as really important. So as an aside, when we were looking at it, well, let's move my mini-me out the way. Mary brought up the authorised version of this verse, for I know the thoughts that I think toward you, said the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. And it's that expected end that is a different way of putting to give you hope and a future. And I've had a little ferret about in the words, and it's really quite fascinating, because the hope is not, oh, I hope it's going to be sunny tomorrow, but the hope is this sure and certain hope that we have. It's an expected hope and an expected end. But anyway, that's a bit of an aside. So I finished off on Monday night. I felt really good. I'm smiling here, me mini-me. The Bible study had gone really well, and then I went to bed. And then the ceilings, it was raining. Now that's my bedroom ceiling, which is dripping water down into a bucket, and that's me above my dining table downstairs ceiling. And I just felt really, really low about this. I'd like forked out a load of money in the autumn to get these fixed, and it's coming in again. And I think just on top of everything else, I felt really, really low. And then the next night, the worry sort of hit in. You know, when you put your head on the pillow and you're all trying to go to sleep and your brain suddenly wants to wake you up and tell you of all the things that ever need sorted in your life. I was worrying about a job, really needed a job, but I'm thinking of Matthew and what sort of job could I go for where I can keep Matthew and his house safe. Obviously, in these COVID times, everything's all a bit bonkers. Concerns about loneliness. This is my first time really on my own without either of the kids, with Matthew now out in permanent residency, even though he comes home at the weekend. The worry monster just took over, and here's me on my roller coaster. I need an adult, because sometimes, whatever age you are, you just think, I'm not grown up enough for this. And so I was trying to get to sleep. Gone midnight, I heard someone speaking downstairs. So I came down, sort of speaking down the stairs. What's that? And my laptop had rebooted and it played this YouTube clip that I'd used on the Monday. It's worth looking up this. It's a guy, his YouTube channel is Life Without Limbs. He's not got any arms or legs. And his verse of the day, he's talking about Jeremiah 29:11 as his verse of the day. And it was really poignant. Yeah, I know the plans that I have for you, but this is in real dire circumstances. But God knows the plans. And he reminded me by rebooting my computer at gone midnight and having me crawl down the stairs to see this again. So when I'm down here in my little well of sorrow, out of my depths I call to you, O Lord, he reboots my computer and plays me Gen 29:11 again on it. It's bonkers days. So then the next day we get the good news. All of this worrying and stuff I've been doing the night before, I'm wandering around the house turning computers off again, wandering around Orford Park, and I get a job offer on the phone. It's not like this with a guy in a suit and holding it out. A lass from an interview that I went to before Christmas at the council phoned me back and said that they've got more positions at the same grade. Would I be interested in going for it? And yes. Now it's the grade is lower than I left when I left a year ago. But one thing this year's taught us is that things just really don't go to plan. And from going from completely panicking about everything on the Thursday night, I get a phone call with a job offer. Yay! So here's the mini-me partying away. And just finally, I want to add a little bit of a postscript, because the verses that come immediately after, I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans for good and not for harm, to give you hope and a future or an expected end. These bits are also really worth a mention. You will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart, declares the Lord. And they're the bits that were extra on the leaving card of my previous boss. Just keep those in mind when you keep your 29:11 in your head as well. Okay, thanks for listening. Cheerio for now. Bye. Cheerio.